the audience know that this is the first time we are meeting, so this is not a planted question. So I think that this is really, the reason I say that is because this is the question I would really want to answer. That why did the Delhi government choose to prioritize education? You could have done so many other things. We could have built roads, we could have built flyovers, we could have built skyscrapers. Why did we choose to prioritize education? And I think that the answer was really given by the panel before me. That education is not an expenditure. Education is an investment into the future. And I think that we as a nation, if we start listing down the problems we face as a nation, I think we could spend the next couple of hours just making that list about the challenges we face as a nation, the different problems we face. So eventually the answer to all of those questions lies in the fact that you need to educate and empower your citizens to solve those problems. Unfortunately, how politics has been done in this country is exactly the reverse. That you want citizens to remain dependent on politicians for every big and small thing. कि जब तक you don't go to the doorstep of your neta or your MLA or your MP or your councillor, then you can't get your work done. And so the decision to invest in education, the decision to spend, and I think that was an extremely big decision, to spend 1/4 of the budget, 25% of the state's expenditure on education, is because we have always seen that as an investment into the future of the country. And that really is what made education a priority for us. How did that journey manifest? And I think that the state of Delhi schools, 7 almost years ago, when we started, was not very different from what the state of government schools is in Karnataka. I was just speaking to Prithvi earlier today, and he was sharing how more than 65% of government schools in Karnataka don't have toilets. And I was thinking that that's very interesting because every time I'm asked to speak on education, my story somehow, rather than from the classroom, begins from toilets, actually. And the reason is that I think toilets are they're almost like a representative example of the state of schools. I remember when we started in 2015, when you used to enter a Delhi government school, from the gate, which might be 50 or 100 meters away from the building, you could smell the toilet of the school from that gate. That is what the condition of the schools used to be. And I think that is quite representative of what the state of the schools was. अगर आप अपने स्कूल का टॉयलेट नहीं साफ कर सकते, तो आप वहाँ पे अच्छी पढ़ाई क्या दोगे? And not just the actual cleaning of the toilet, I think it reflects a certain mindset. When you enter the school, you can see the fact that when you enter a classroom, fans are broken, lights are broken, there are often no desks, children are sitting on the floor, windows are broken, there might or might not be a blackboard, and there's good chances that the teacher is not in the classroom. This is how a typical government school used to be in Delhi in 2050. I'm sure this is the state of government schools across the country. I don't think Delhi was any special. More worrying, definitely, given the fact that it's the capital of the country, and we are not in any far away and beyond part of the country, but this is how the school was. But the fact that the school used to be so dirty was also reflective of the mindset that, and you would often hear some teachers say it out also, but otherwise this is what really they were thinking, that in स्कूलों में तो गरीबों के ही बच्चे आते हैं, उनके तो घर भी साफ नहीं होते, तो उनको ऐसे साफ सुथरे स्कूल की क्या जरूरत है? And this reflects the kind of bias that was there in people's minds, and this reflects the kind of bias that exists across the entire system. That we have assumed that government schools are the schools for the poor, and they are not really going to make it anywhere in the world. So why should we even bother to prioritize their education? This really is the unstated fact. This is the unstated assumption and prejudice behind the state of government schools. And I would just like to share some pictures to share the journey that we have been through. Also because I want to point out that the changes that we have brought about, I strongly believe that they are not rocket science. I believe that any government which wants to bring this change can bring this change. And I think what really matters of whether a government does or does not bring the change is whether you have the political will to transform the education system. And which is why I've just left the slide with the word dignity matters. And I think it is this lack of dignity across the entire schooling system, whether it is the lack of dignity for students who did not have drinking water, who did not have tables to sit on, who did not have clean toilets to go to, or even the lack of dignity for teachers. That just as you could not give a clean toilet to a student, you could not even give it to a teacher. And so the message you were giving to the teacher was that it's very clear, we don't care about these schools, we don't care about the children. So the unstated message is that education is not a priority for us. This is what a classroom, in fact, earlier this slide used to say that this is what an average classroom looked like. This is actually not an average classroom. This is probably an above average classroom because this classroom has desks. And it's not necessary that all classrooms that we used to have in Delhi government schools would have desks, except classrooms were definitely as ramshackle as this was. Toilets, of course, as I said, I cannot resist because they, to me, represent the state of government schools. And when we started working in 2015, really a lot of the time we just spent focusing on cleanliness because that is a message we wanted to give. And I sometimes used to joke, I was advisor to the Deputy CM, Mr. Manish Sisodia. I used to sometimes joke to him that mujhe kai bari lagta hai I don't work in the education department. I think I work in the sanitation department. Because all we used to talk about are how many bottles of liquid soap do you need, how many bottles of Harpic do you need, how many bottles of phenyl do you need. If you have these many students in this much area, how many sanitation workers do you need? But that is the level of detailing that it took. Not just cleanliness, even infrastructure. You know, I come from a personal background where I've always been a minimalist. I think that why have so many fancy things? But one of the things that I realized is that when a government school used to look this dilapidated, when a child entered that school, a child who was likely to be coming from a low-income background, from the time they enter a broken-down school, the message to them is very clear, that you are a second-class citizen, you don't matter in the world. You are not going to make it anywhere. It's the students who go to these shiny, swanky schools, they are the ones who are going to make it in the world. And that is the reason why we decided that we are going to have high-quality furniture, high-quality infrastructure. And now, this is what a classroom in a Delhi government school looks like. This is one of our primary school classrooms. This is a library of one of our government schools. This is a toilet in one of our schools. And the reason I feel this was important, and you can see this transformation in the children, is that the same children who 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and especially amongst the girls, you could see the fact that when you used to enter a school, talking to bahut dur ki baat hai, they would not even make eye contact with you. You could just see in their body language, their shoulders would be stooped, they would be looking at the floor because they lacked confidence. Fast forward to a few years later, and we had this program in one of our stadiums where you had 5,000-7,000 students who were attending the program, and the Deputy Chief Minister was addressing the students. Program got over, everything is done. Then this one girl, who's a class 12 student, raises her hand and says, I want to ask the Deputy Chief Minister something. And she takes the mic, and on a completely unrelated note, she says that, Sir, CBSE has increased the class 12 examination fees, and we are finding it, our families are finding it very difficult to pay. The government should do something about this. Look at the confidence of this child to address the Deputy Chief Minister of your state in front of a gathering of 7,000 people. this shows the journey of the students. And I think that bringing dignity into our schools, making the schools look as if the students and teachers of that school mattered, has played a very important role in that process. Another important role I think that has been played in bringing about this change is finding champions within the system. You know, I have always said and always felt that all government schools have excellent teachers. In fact, often government school teachers are better qualified than private school teachers. They are selected by a more rigorous selection process. Most of them are paid better than private school teachers. And yet we find such poor learning outcomes. And you know, when you used to speak to the teachers themselves used to tell us that, you know, when we start teaching, we come in with a lot of interest and enthusiasm. We want to bring a change. But you have this entire system that is disinterested. And so a new teacher comes in and says, "Bhai, I'm going to try something in my classroom." And you have all these teachers who have been teaching in the system for 20, 30 years, and they're like, "Chalo, bade aaye hain, naya josh hai, wo bhi kuch din mein khatam ho jayega." And if you look at, and I think this is true of any institution, you have what is like a normal distribution curve. So you have 20% teachers and principals who are absolutely outstanding, right? Whether you have a good government, bad government, anyone is interested or not interested, you have these 20% teachers, and we have all seen them across institutions, who are doing their job and trying their best to make a difference to their students. So that is the top 20%. Then you have the bottom 20%. जिनको आप कुछ भी कर लो, आप उनसे कुछ नहीं करवा सकते हो, right? They are not interested, they don't turn up on time. But the culture of the institution is decided by the middle 60%. These middle 60% go whichever way the wind is blowing. When there were governments that did not care about how education runs, you had this middle 60% that was tending towards the bottom 20%. The minute the government started working on improving schools, gradually this middle 60% started going towards the top 20%. And that is how the culture of the institutions began to change. And if you see, we actually found champions within the system itself. Be it parents. This is a picture of an SMC election, something called the School Management Committee, which is supposed to be the governing structure of the school, but was never active because schools used to think कि भाई अनपढ़ माता पिता school में क्या contribute कर सकते. Not just this, one of the, I would say almost myths, common myths that was prevalent in schools was कि देखो, ये parents कोई बच्चों की पढ़ाई वढ़ाई में interested नहीं है, वो तो उन्हें सिर्फ मिड डे मील की वजह से स्कूल भेजते हैं, वो तो उन्हें सिर्फ स्कॉलरशिप की वजह से स्कूल भेजते हैं, उनका कोई एसएमसी में इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, उनका कोई स्कूल में इंटरेस्ट नहीं है. When we first formed the SMC, this is a picture from 2015, from the first SMC election. And you had parents who turned up in lines to vote for a governing body that would actually make decisions about the school. So I think these myths that parents were not interested promptly went out of the window at the first instance where parents were given an opportunity to participate. And you have stories from across all our schools of mothers especially, who themselves were not educated, but really participated in transforming the schools in terms of regularly going into schools, seeing if schools were clean or not, seeing if children were coming into schools on time, seeing if teachers were coming into school on time. And you had this one SMC member, she told me this interesting story of how there was this rowdy set of kids who were always coming late into class, late into school. जैसे कहते हैं स्कूल का माहौल खराब कर रहे थे. So this SMC member went into the school and told those kids कि देखो, ये जो सारे नियम कानून है ना कि बच्चों को थप्पड़ नहीं मारना होता है, तो सिर्फ तुम्हारे टीचर पे लागू होते हैं. तुम ज्यादा परेशान करोगे, स्कूल का माहौल खराब करोगे, तो एक उल्टे हाथ का मारूंगी तुम्हें. टाइम से स्कूल आना और क्लास में पढ़ाई करनी है. So you had an SMC member who was, I'm not saying that it is desirable to threaten the kid, but you had a, you know, just as a parent would tell a child that you better get in line and start studying. So you had an SMC member who was willing to do this for all the children and for the entire school. You had SMC members who would come in to check in whether teachers had come in on time, assemblies had happened on time. And this really helped transform the environment of the school. These are parents participating in SMC meetings. This is one picture which for me shows the interest that parents have in transforming schools. You had this mother who had a newborn child, yet she came for an SMC meeting of the school of her older child because she wanted to make sure that the school was running well and running properly. And it is parents like these who made sure that governance in schools happened well. Then we started the process of parent-teacher meetings, where we started calling in parents regularly to keep them updated about the child's progress. Not just parents, teachers as well. You know, often we would say that you needed experts to come and teach teachers how to teach. We believed that it was the teachers themselves who had the best solutions to the problems that they faced in the classrooms. So we sent a letter from the education minister to all the teachers saying, whichever of you wants to come forward and mentor other teachers, we are going to create a cadre of mentor teachers. You come forward, you train other teachers, you go into classrooms, you observe them. And this is a photograph of our mentor teachers when we sent them for a training program in the National Institute of Education in Singapore, where they got training from some of the best teachers across the world. And then these mentor teachers took these solutions, took their experiences across all the classrooms. I could probably go on forever, just one more. I will stop after this picture and we can go further. This is a picture of our principals being trained at IIM Ahmedabad. We sent all government school principals to IIM Ahmedabad for their training. Earlier, often it was IAS officers who would go to these high-end institutions. For us, the most important person was the principal and the teacher because they are the ones who are really transforming the lives of students. And, you know, once, when the first batch of students came back from IIM Ahmedabad, we had a debriefing session with them. So we asked them, kya acha laga? What did you like about the training? And I'd expected them to say management techniques or some case studies. Case studies are famous in IIM Ahmedabad. So one principal said something that I'll always remember. He said, Ji madam, do cheezein, you all understand Hindi, right? Because I'm narrating in their words itself. They said, madam, do cheezein अच्छी लगी. एक ये मैंने देखा, वो कहते हैं कि एक चीज अच्छी लगी, जो सारे टीचर हमें पढ़ाने आते थे, वो टाइम से क्लास में आते थे. So, number one. Number two, he said that the IIM director had also taken some sessions with them and their senior professors. He said, madam, जो भी professor पढ़ाने आए, उनके director साहब भी हमें पढ़ाने आए, वो अपनी class के लिए बहुत तैयारी करके आते थे. तो हमें लगा, हम भी जब class में जाते हैं, हमें बहुत तैयारी करके जाने की ज़रूरत है. And the reason these two things have stuck with me is because just the exposure to a world-class institution, to the ethos of a world-class institution, brought a culture into in our schools, which no amount of lectures, no amount of training could have done. And one can begin to see how, when these principles went back, it's not necessary that they implemented what they learned in their Harvard training or their Cambridge training or their Singapore training. But for the first time, they began to feel that it was their school. In fact, last thing, then I will close with this and hand the mic back to you. Earlier, when we used to talk to principals, to teachers, to parents, they used to refer to the school as Sarkari school, the government school. Now, if you hear the parents or teachers or SMC members or principals, they refer to the school as Hamara school, that it is their school. And I think this really reflects the change that has happened. I think it's a long journey that we are still on. Many changes in curriculum. We have started the happiness curriculum, the entrepreneurship curriculum. But I think the most telling incident, this has been so far about the inputs that we have brought in. But in terms of public perception, Just 2 days ago, we have launched something called the Schools of Specialized Excellence that the Delhi government has opened. Yesterday, admissions opened for these 20 schools. We are taking admissions in class 9, 1,000 vacancies. And within 24 hours, we have had 8,000 applications for those 1,000 seats. So it is not just what we have done, but I think that the public confidence that is growing in a public education system. Thank you.